What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, a lot happened in this latest chapter batch. While we're still on Egghead, we may not be for much longer, and some stuff happened that's also pretty controversial. At least it has been in the community. But we're gonna get into all of that and more, because this is gonna be One Piece chapter reviews 11:17 through 11:19. Now there's a lot, so I want to get started real quick and just jump in. But before that, y'all do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. Let's get it going. So starting off in 11:17, we have Yamato's cover story, and we just see that it's her with the Yakuza bosses, Nekomamushi and Old Man Hyo. So coming off the back of what happened last time, which was Vegapunk just informing the world that, yeah, everything's gonna sink, everything from before has already sunk, and the Roger pirates knew about it, we go to Pirate Island, Hachinosu, Blackbeard's territory, where we see for the first time in what feels like forever, and this is crazy guys, it's the Krieg pirates. I mean, there's no mistaking Pearl's armor. We see it in the background, nobody else has armor like that. But Gin and Krieg themselves look like they have a bit of new looks. Krieg looks like he grew out his hair. Gin seems to have a new kind of sword. They're just looking post-time skippy, I guess. Crazy to think that after all of the speculation of when is Gin coming back, them being in the random corner of a panel that most people didn't even see on their first read-through. And you know, it's crazy to think, but we really did see the entirety of the One Piece world within the last few chapters. It just goes to show how amazing Oda is at world building and fleshing out characters, that we have all of these different characters who have all kinds of different reactions. And then we see the Sarayuma alliance with Mont Blanc Cricket, and Cricket's just like, y'all ready for another dive? And you know, we just love to see people doing what they love. Me personally, I love seeing what people do what they love. So I stand with you, Cricket. Then we head over to GS, which we learn apparently the Marines have a general hospital. I mean, makes sense because a lot of people get injured, but yeah, that's where we're at. So while we're there, we see a conversation between the future of the Marines, Kobe, Helmeppo, Kujaku, Prince Cruz, and Hibari, with all of them just talking about Vegapunk's message, how crazy things are, how the world is seemingly going into dark times. But what I want to know is how Oda specifically panels the reactions side by side of Kobe, Kujaku, and Groose. So that just makes me wonder, is he setting it up for after all this is said and done, maybe the three of them are going to be the admirals? Not like immediately, because obviously they're all pretty young, but eventually? I mean, even if they're not admirals, you still see, at least I see, the parallels between their trio and then the Garp, Tsuru, Sengoku trio. Kobe being the Garp, obviously. Kujaku is literally Tsuru's granddaughter. And then Groose being the more level-headed one, kind of like Sengoku is with his group. It just makes sense. A lot of the parallels are being drawn. We also get Kujaku mentioning that she had checked on the captain to make sure that he's good. And that's when it's revealed Drake is alive and well. Well is a bit of relative because, you know, he's banged up after Wano, but he's not dead like a lot of people thought. Which, I mean, it's kind of hilarious because just at the end of Wano with that conversation between him and Hawkins, it's kind of left ambiguous, but it's implied that they both died. So, but who knows? We all know that Oda doesn't like killing people off, so maybe if Drake is alive, Hawkins is too. And then we get the return of someone who we've been waiting to see ever since the days of Punk Hazard, where Doflamingo hockeyed up his butt cheeks to sit on him. Ladies and gentlemen, Smoker is back. We see him riding his smoke-powered hog just across the waves, and I can't lie, it's giving Admiral energy. Like, this is the kind of stuff that you see Aokiji just doing for fun. Even though he's been a bum since Marineford, I believe he can change and become an admiral. I even made him an admiral in my story. Also, it's been noted, it seems like he's carrying some sort of box or transporting something with him, so I wonder what that's about. So now, heading back to Egghead, we have Zoro and Jinbei almost catching up to the ship, but then it's revealed that they're actually chasing Nesjuro, who apparently he decided that slicing half of the entire lab just wasn't enough for him, so he's also gonna go slice up the Straw Hats. So we now have Jinbei using Fishman Karate Kata Guruma, or piggyback, and it's essentially just picking up Zoro and throwing him with force. And so as Zoro is dashing right for Nesjuro is literally right about to slash Nami and the Sunny when Zoro pulls out a new version of his two-sword style Rashomon technique, clashes with Nesjuro, and they have Conqueror's Hockey Sparks just crackling all about, which causes both of them to get knocked back before Zoro's like, y'all get it going, me and Jinbei will figure out a way to get on. Some things to bring up. Firstly, love that Rashomon has returned. That was always one of my favorite Zoro moves. Secondly, now everybody can start saying dubs in the chat for Zoro, because we know that he sorely needed something after barely stalling Lucci for 6 months, but now no one can deny that what he's doing is just matter of fact legendary. Characters that are, to some people, scale above the Yonko, and he's holding them off. Also, Oda confirms that the sword that Nezuro has is indeed the Shodai Kitetsu, which we basically were able to figure out a long time ago, but it's nice to have the confirmation. So while that's happening, Luffy's group is meeting up with Sanji's group on the Giants' main ship to, start getting away, while the rest of the Giants just keep attacking the battleships. But then we still have Bluegrass and Doll who aren't letting them through. So Bluegrass is still riding one of the Sea Beast weapons and is using it to fire lasers into the hulls of the ships. While Doll, we see that she's just a straight up brawler. Armament hockeys up her fists and use Rock and Roll Blaster, a Gatling punch technique that takes out Kashi, who, for as far as we're concerned, is either the 3rd or 4th strongest giant they have. And now here, see, I want to go on a small rant, because this is Oda clearly showing us that there are different levels to being a Vice Admiral. Now, if you didn't know, the way that I classify the Vice Admirals, there's 2 types: competent and filler. Obviously, this is disregarding Gart because he's his own thing entirely. The competent ones are the ones where Oda devotes time to them and we actually see what they can do. Even though they're still tertiary characters, they get a bit more shine, a bit more, class to them. We see their feats more. So for example, as we see here, Doll and Bluegrass are competent. Other Vice Admirals we can include in here are Smoker, Momonga, Onigumo, John Giant, even Stainless to some extent. Now the filler Vice Admirals are the ones where, in Oda's mind, he's just like, well, I need some wacky designs and new people to fill out a roster of characters. For example, all of the others that came to Egghead besides Bluegrass and Doll. Yamakaji, Strawberry, and I hate to say it, but even Bad Coffee Komu. Like for real, who even knows who Bastille or Maynard are? I mean, I do, but that's because I studied this series intensively. It's a problem of mine. So as Luffy notes that Workery is no longer following them, we see that the Iron G is being surrounded by all of the other Gorosei, and it's tough because at this point, we just know that it's over for Pal, which then brings us to the part of the chapter that has everybody talking. Vegapunk has one more thing to say, and it's addressed specifically to the people who have the will of D. But before we can get the full thing, it starts to get cut off as Workery rams into the Iron Giant. Now, it's important to note that the scans and the official have translated things differently. In the scans, it says, there is Mo, like M-O, and then that's where it gets cut off. And now Japanese speakers have said that it says Mo in Japanese, in their language as well, which means we have no idea if this is a Japanese word or a Japanese pronunciation of an English word. But the official translates differently and says there is a blank. So at least we can go off more there in terms of trying to figure out what there might be within them. Who knows? There is a what? My immediate thought was maybe there's a fake or there's an imposter member of the Will of D, and that brings me to Blackbeard. Moving on to 1118, in the cover story we just see Yamato leaving the flower capital, eating the bento box that she got from Otsuru. So coming off the back of the last chapter, as the Iron Giant is knocked into the water, it seems like the signal, because the snail's inside it, the signal gets jammed, and that's why it gets cut off. And you have the Iron G itself even wondering, oh, where am I? What's happening? So I want to talk about the Iron Giant's sentience for a bit, because just how aware is this guy? Everyone thought that it was just a hunk of metal, but Oda's seemingly making it have, its own thoughts, memories, speech. So it just kind of made me think about a trend that we're seeing with Joy Boy's allies, and maybe the one that we'll continue to see in the future, which is what if, the Iron Giant, Zunisha, everybody else, in the past, they were all humans, or at least human-like, one of the established races that we actually know of. But then somehow, whether it was through a punishment of some sort, or some sort of, devil fruit power or something, they were transformed into what they are now. But then that begs the question, who transformed them? They all apologize to Joy Boy, which makes it seem like, it's because they were part of his crew. They're apologizing because maybe they're apologizing for for letting the world get to the stage. They're apologizing for not seeing the war through, maybe, in the vision that Joy Boy had. And they're blaming themselves a bit, because I don't think Joy Boy would blame them, nor would I think he would punish them. Or would he? Because the other thing about Joy Boy is that if he had the Nika fruit, and the Nika fruit bends reality, can it bend reality to the extent of transforming somebody into just a different form and keeping it like that permanently? Or maybe it's just a complete different answer, like it was Ima who did it, and he did it so that, they kind of be sealed away from the world, forced to be on it but unable to act in a way. I don't know, just a lot of thoughts swirling in my head. So anyways, with the transmission cut, people are coming to the conclusion that, oh, Vegapunk's dead, and that means, of course, Luffy had him hostage. Luffy must have killed him. And for me, that brings up two things. One, when the heck are the people of the One Piece world going to learn that the world government are the bad guys? Because look, even if Vegapunk didn't want to presume on the morals of the people who fought way back then, it is impossible to deny now that the world government is literally enslaving people and eradicating islands over archaeology. And two, we've seen this narrative before of the Straw Hats getting blamed for stuff that they just did not do because the story is just twisted. So to me, it seems like it's impossible for them to not get a bounty increase. And then we see the Gorosei and York talking, where York confirms that besides her, the only two Vegapunks that are left alive are Lilith and Atlas. And so the Gorosei make it their mission to get to those two. As Luffy's group gets to the ship, we see that Bonnie has turned Bluegrass and Doll into children and is sitting perched up there like she knows that she's gonna be in some thumbnails. But you know what, guys? This is exciting to me because it finally looks like it's time to go for real. Like, the giant ship is literally pulling out of the harbor, and the Sunny itself is also gonna jet off to go and meet them. So I'm gonna just make a prediction, guys. By 11:25, the Egghead arc is done, which after 11:19 gives us 6 chapters. So Mars shows up flying out of the sky and starts shooting a beam, which it's revealed that his beam is actually fire. And what do you know? I wonder who said that Mars would have fire powers back in a video where he was predicting what the Gorosei powers might be. But anyway, we have Bjorn and Sig, 2 new giants that they may be background characters, they may become important, who knows. But we have them blocking the fire while Luffy is eating up to regain strength and then goes back into his Gear 5 form. But as he goes into Gear 5th, one of the most contentious things to ever befall the One Piece community happens. Because we have Bonnie saying, "Distorted future, give me a future where I'm free," which translates to, "Give me Gear 5th future." Everyone, JOYGIRL has entered the chat. And here I just want to bring up the discourse that was going on for the 1 week that we didn't know what was going to happen. Because it was on a sliding scale. Everything from on one side of the scale, oh, there's 2 Nikas? This is going to break the story. Bonnie is going to be too OP. Oda doesn't know how to write. To the other side of the scale, which is, oh my goodness, Oda's foreshadowing is God tier because of this, and that. Oda, you mastermind. Please, I want to kiss you. And I've already said my thoughts in this show right here, and it's very simple. I said, we don't know how it's going to be taken. There's possibilities, but let's watch and see what happens first. Because look, there's people who are complaining that, oh, Bonnie's going to be too broken, she's going to be too powerful, she's going to be top 2 when Luffy is top 1. Meanwhile, she may not even be broken. Spoiler alert, this is the exact case as we're about to see. Now in 11:19, the cover story is a bit crazy, I can't lie, because we have the Kibi region, and we have Yamato traveling through, and then it's just being pelted with stones by kids who hate Kaido. All I can say is that stoning in this day and age is crazy. So we start the chapter off with a surprising emotional moment from Kaku and Stussy, where we have Kaku telling Stussy, look, you gotta get out of here because Lucci is going to come back and kill you. And I admire you. You're cool. I don't want to see you die. Showing that even government agents can have feelings, guys. Like, they're tearing up and everything. It's really sweet. You know, I would just love for the 2 of them to escape together, and then maybe that's the next cover series, just seeing the adventures of Stussy and Kaku. Anyways, back at the coast, the Giants are absolutely loving the crap out of the Joy People Association. Yes, that is what we're calling them from now on, the JPA. That's what we're sticking with. And who knows, they may even get more members as time goes on. Maybe Shanks is Joy Man, who knows? But as I and most rational people said during that 1 week waiting time, Bonnie's fruit is not as broken as it seems, and it can't bend reality. Even Mars says as much when he's like, oh, it's just an imitation. Now, speaking of Mars, he's still attacking them, remember? So Luffy, knowing that they can't permanently damage him, thinks of the next best thing, flinging him away. So to do that, he needs Frankie, Sanji, and Bonnie to all attack the back of his inflated balloon form, such that the force from their attacks will help him launch Mars, who knows, to another stratosphere maybe. And so they do. So you see Sanji using Ifrit Jambe, Hell's Memories, which may be his strongest current attack that we've seen him do, because there's a strong argument to say that Hell Memories is his strongest Diablo Jambe technique, and then layering Ifrit Jambe on top of that, Frankie uses a stronger version of Strong Right called Strong Impact Right. Try saying that 3 times fast. And then Bonnie uses supersized Nika Punch, which is literally just elephant gun. Now, speaking on this for a bit brings up a few things. Firstly, I made a short about this, but in my headcanon, as far as I'm concerned, this means that Frankie can use Haki. Now, I know Luffy's making a generalization because he's addressing Bonnie, and obviously Bonnie and Sanji are, but I'm just like, you know, in my head, it makes sense for Frankie to have Haki anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, in order for me to feel good about Frankie's status in this crew, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that he is using it until further notice. And 2, Bonnie is surely joining the crew now, right? There's no way that she's not. Like, I mean, she's already being set up as Luffy's successor the same way that Shanks was to Roger. Vegapunk literally told them, please take Bonnie with you because people are gonna be after her. She does not have anywhere else to go. Her dad, the one person she loved the most in the world, has died in front of her eyes, essentially. And now you have Sanji saying, hey, this is our captain's orders? Yeah, it's a wrap. But anyways, Luffy uses the force of their attack and hits Mars with Gum Gum Dawn Balloon, sending Mars flying so hard that a star twinkles and you would have thought that it's Team Rocket blasting off again. Then, interestingly, despite being at the bottom of the sea, the snail comes back on and the message comes back on, and we see Katakuri watching it in Whole Cake, as well as a cameo from Gaimon and his new wife Garfunkel. And when it comes back, we see that whatever the main info that we're supposed to get from the there is a was cut out because he's glossed over that, but he says it is a will passed on through the ages or whatever, which means that we still have to figure out between those 2 parts what is there of a what. But the chapter still isn't done, because now we have Jupiter, who I guess realizes that he has been by far the most useless of all of the Gorosei, and he's like, you know what, I don't want people saying I'm useless no more. So he is spitting up all of the people that rained down from, you know, the lab when Nostro cut it, and the Seraphim, shooting them all up like a fountain and raining them down on the ships. He then uses what can only be described as his super suck ability to try and draw in the ship so that they can't leave. But Luffy punches him like, you know, just get away, you're useless. But as he's doing that, Mercury is headed straight for the ship, ready to crash into it. Keeping in mind that none of them know what to do because Luffy's like, he is too tough, like none of us can really counter his full speed. But that's when the Iron G rises from the depths and slugs Mercury so hard that part of his horn breaks off. And while all this is happening, we see a speech bubble saying, remember Emmett, the time is not now. Gotta do it when the time is right. Which to me seems to indicate that the Iron G's real name, or at least name that it had when it was a person of some sort, was Emmett. And this was a memory of Joy Boy speaking to him. I would love to know the context of what he's talking about here though. Like, waiting for what time? Was this when Joy Boy was about to die? Did this have something to do with, like, you know, the war? Were they like trying to plan something for the war? Does this have anything to do with why the Iron G attacked Mary Joa 200 years ago? So many questions and not enough answers. So yeah, guys, it was a really solid bunch of chapters this time around, and I really just hope we've all learned some valuable life lessons. Like maybe before you take to the internet to hate on somebody over a fictional 12-year-old girl's supposed broken abilities, maybe make sure that her abilities are actually broken. But what did you guys think about this chapter? What side of the argument were you on when the whole Bonnie thing happened? I know everybody had an opinion. Let me know. That's the end of the video, y'all. But please, before we go, like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it all around with your friends who love One Piece, or who just love anime, or who just love me. I'm a pretty lovable guy. That's all from me. I'll catch y'all next week, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Stronger version of strong right, strong impactful right, stronger version of strong right, strong impact right, stronger version of strong right, strong impact right.